Good day to you. My name is Peter Jordan. In this video, I'd like to talk to you about the cycles or life cycles and human rhythms. These cycles go in a sinal type wave. Okay, they start at the 0 to 7, 7 to 14, 14 to 21 being the top of the cycle. And then they go 21 to 28, 28 to 35, 35 to 42 being the bottom of the next cycle. And then they start up again, 42 to 49, 49 to 56, 56 to 63 being the top of the next cycle. And then they go down in cycles again. So each of us are subject to these cycles. They are an integral part of our development and have a profound psychological impact on us. As we go through these cycles, you will see the impact that it has on your life. Depending on what happened to you during that cycle, so the impact will be more pronounced. This impact will be felt in later cycles as indicated. The 7-year periods in phases form the basic rhythms of human life. Now, in other videos that I've put out, I've said the first 7 years is the primary years that affect all of us. Whatever happens in that first 7 years comes back to us again and again in different cycles, which you will see as we move through this video. A significant biological change also occurs during each approximate 7-year period. In addition, every 7 years leads to the birth of new elements in the unfolding individuality. Each 7-year phase gradually develops into the next. In every phase, the body, soul, and spirit interweave within one dominant theme. In each rhythmic phase, the elements of past phases reappear together with a new aspect. Working with the cycles and understanding them is very helpful in one's personal development and will contribute immensely to contributing to the unraveling of one's own problems and understanding why are you doing these things that you are doing. Each 7-year phase marks a new birth. The first, the physical birth, is the most obvious. The child emerges from the womb, leaving behind the spiritual world where it existed as an independent entity. The following births take place in the soul and spirit when something new is born that was not there before. This is not expressed physically, but in attitudes, feelings, and capacities which arise in the individual concerned. So we deal with the first cycle, and this is the birth to the first 7 years. This is the birth of the physical body brought into manifestation. From the earliest days, children are like one great sense organ, taking in sense impressions of all kinds from the outside world. This is all the stimulation and everything that goes on. They turn these sense impressions into their own activities through imitation. By imitating those around them, children learn to stand upright and walk. They learn to understand and speak their mother tongue. These impressions influence the physical body. If they are quite soft, the child can breathe more rhythmically and relax. But when children's immature nervous system try to process startling noises, flickering lights, and quick visual impressions, it becomes too much for them. They can become exhausted, tense, and afraid. The environment has a direct impact on the child in its growing up first cycle. This environment will have a direct impact on the child's psyche, and this will impact and reflect itself in later years, as you will see as we discuss the cycles as we go on. Around the third year, children experience their own being and start referring to themselves as I. I this, I did that, I, etc., etc. This self-awareness now awakens in a rudimentary way and memory begins to develop. Although children of this age have moments of consciousness, they are in general rather asleep. External sensory impressions experienced inwardly and lay the basis for conscious ideas to be formed later. At this stage, children enter the world mainly through their will and movements. They are always doing something. Through this process, the child starts to learn about the environment, as well as this starts to form the basis on which relationships work. Such movements form the inner formation of what they will feel in the next stage. Spiritual forces are also at work, shaping the organs, building the body, completing the physical body. The culmination of this activity is expressed in the falling out of the milk teeth. At this time, new creative powers are released within the body for the next phase. At this stage, the subconscious mind has already started to function very well. This phase is mostly influenced about how the child feels about life in general, of everything that has happened around them. When major negative things happen in this cycle, it will have a profound psychological impact in later cycles, particularly how they feel about life. The second cycle, from age 7 to 14. The physical body continues to develop, with adult teeth starting to come through. Consciousness from a state of sleep to dream-like conditions start to appear. Inner soul life now starts to intensify. In the earlier period, creative, formative powers were shaping the physical body, but now these situations become available as the soul, or become available to the soul as powers of imagination and thought, as image forming activity. Children thinking at this age is influenced by strong feelings and personal experiences and expressed through imagination. It is also in this period that the child starts to explore the greater world around itself. This is typically the stage where children start to discover other children in the world. In their quest to learn more about the world around them, as well as other families of origin, the child often wants to leave home for short periods to go and explore other children's homes, always wanting to come home to see that everything is safe in their home. This is often the child when the child asks to sleep over. And sleepovers occur, and the child often just wants to do that so that they can start to see how other people live and compare that to their own home. This is the curiosity side of them starting to develop. This is also the time when the child starts to discover the world around them and how big it is, as well as its wonders. At school, the child is generally taught about the world and how it operates. It is a great period of discovery of the world to it is a period of great discovery of a world external to themselves, which was prevalent in the first cycle. In the 9th year, change starts to come about for the child. This was described in each age-related one. Children often feel a greater separation from their parents at this time and from everything around them, which has previously been imbued with magic and wholeness. Now they begin to experience the world more objectively, and the glow of early childhood is gradually replaced by common everyday events. Ordinariness begins to delve the child's inner joy and spontaneity. Should any traumatic event occur, such as sexual abuse, the child is thrown into early adulthood, where they now are supposed to accept adult behavior, even though they are not prepared for it. This accentuates the separation from the parents and inevitably impacts on their ability to trust in life. This deeply impacts the child's psyche. Around the 12th year, children's thinking capacity develop from picture thinking to cause and effect thinking. This is the beginning stages of conceptual thinking. They are now able to understand how and why things happen. Their strong physical resemblance to their parents may start to wane as their individuality becomes more pronounced. The physical body begins to experience heaviness and gravity, a sense of being pulled down to earth. In everyday speak, we term this that they become more grounded. In boys, the larynx elongates, causing the boy's voice to deepen. His sexual organs mature, and he becomes able to reproduce of his own kind. The girl's body, in turn, becomes rounder and softer. And though hormonal changes and through hormonal changes and menstruation, prepares itself for reproduction. The changes at puberty echo changes such as the loss in teeth, which occur at the age of the first 7-year cycle. The forces released in puberty are now available for the next phase. This phase is from the age 14 to 21 years. The physical body goes through great hormonal changes as the adult physical body takes shape. Feeling life becomes chaotic. Our feeling life goes all over the show due to the hormonal changes. expressing itself in powerful highs and lows, accompanied with erratic swings. It is also round about the physical age of 14 that the soul starts to stir within the child, for the child starts to develop a sense of their own individuality. The soul prompts the child to start asserting itself in a way to support the growing independence, so that the I of the child can fully enter at the age 21. This period is often viewed as the generation gap between the parents and the child. The creative powers which worked on the physical body from birth to 7 and on the soul from 7 to 14 are now working on the thinking and feeling realms of the child. The transformation of the outer experiences into inward experiences leads from images to ideas. In the newness of this budding capacity, the spotlight of the young person thinking directs its being around them. At first, they become critical of everything, questioning and perhaps rejecting aspects of the world that disappoint them. The child starts to experiment with their own feeling world and start to learn about it, or they should rather. Many don't. Negative events such as sexual abuse is carried deep in the psyche as well. It is also during this period that the child will look at the same sex parent to see how it is that they should conduct their relationships when they are much older, and what their role should be when they are in a similar situation. This period of observation and acceptance of how we should conduct ourselves is mostly unconscious, and it flows through the unconscious mind process that I have explained in a separate video. The child gains its sense of self from the opposite sex parent, that is, the daughter from dad and the son from mom. Depending on how the interaction occurs, it will have a direct impact on the sense of who they are as a man or a woman in society, and will directly impact on the quality of the relationship and the kind of relationship that they will finally settle in. Adolescents struggle to use their thinking as a way of controlling their feelings and their power or their willpower impulses. Thinking gradually becomes more inward, no longer needing to be stimulated by strong soul experiences. It becomes conceptual and abstract. Their glimpse of the higher self around the 17th year gives the adolescents a sense that there is purpose and meaning in life, as well as disappointment. They begin to accept the contradictions of life, and with the spontaneous idealism of youth, they put their energies forward for a better world. During the period 14 to 21, the young person's character is forming. Individuation now starts to come into play in preparation of the I becoming fully incarnated at around the age 21. The cycle, age 21 to 28. This is the fourth cycle. The human being now begins to feel a new identity awakening as the I incarnates itself more fully. The period is marked as a strong activity in the emotional life. Impulsive feelings, excitement, sensuality, social ability, and adventure. Throughout this period, our I tries to take control of the impulses and emotions in order to stabilize them. This is the time we try to prepare ourselves for a career or to gather experience in the worldly realm. Our creative abilities are now, for the first time, at the disposal of our I. Somehow there is almost nothing we can't attain. Memory reaches its peak. We begin to evaluate what is being learned as our I permeates itself within all of our experiences. The I also now starts to direct our affairs as the journey of maturation occurs. During this phase, we are given many opportunities to resolve hurts and feelings, disappointments, etc., that arose during the cycle 14 to 21. So this is the up cycle and now the down cycle. So this cycle influences this cycle. Okay? One thing. During the maturation process of this cycle, we start to regard life more objectively than before. At the age of 33, many women start to review their lives and start looking at it with a much more critical eye. Also during this period is that we feel the need to organize our lives much more. It often happens at this stage for a woman where they say to themselves, there must be more to life than what I've got. Life should be richer and deeper and have more meaning. Women often look at their relationships with these deep inner stirrings and start to demand more. Many relationships are at risk during this period. Men tend to rely objectively on their thinking and try to override their feeling world. We tend during this period to start to judge everything around us. We should be careful because there is a tendency to become super critical, cold, and self-righteous. This tends to lead to dissatisfaction in many areas of our lives, but also to a sense that our thinking can solve all of our problems, whilst ignoring our feeling world and ignoring our feelings. During this period, we are also given the opportunity to address personal issues, hurts, rejections, emotional pains that arose during the period 7 to 14. So now it's the middle cycle of the up cycle, and then the middle cycle of the down cycle, that these two now correspond. Okay, and this cycle's got to deal with issues that arose in this cycle. 35 to 42 years. This is the 7th cycle. During this period, consciousness generally becomes the main theme. This can be a time of strength and ambition, but also of emptiness and loneliness. What we used to take in through our senses doesn't fully satisfy us anymore. The body no longer fully excites us in the same way as it used to in the cycles 4 and 5. We start to view life's demands in a different way. Having lost the continual stimulus of the eye during the cycles 3, 4, and 5, life can take on a more routine quality, and yet we experience more and more problems. We often are given the opportunity to resolve issues that arose in our life in the first cycle. So the first cycle is the one 0 to 7, and then it's the last cycle on there. So you got the 0 to 7, you got the cycle going up, then the cycle coming down, the next one, the next one. So these two at the bottom are the ones that now interact with us. Much of what used to bring contentment no longer serves us. We become critical of the causes, philosophies, or religion which might have been previously rather important. What we achieve in life completely depends on what we ourselves make of our capacities and how we work together with and integrate our I from the age of approximately 30 years old. 42 to 49. This is cycle number 8. So we're going up now on the next sinal wave. So we're just starting that size up. Now again, in this cycle, we again given an opportunity to address the first 7 years cycle again. Okay, this period is often viewed as the midlife crisis. The midlife crisis may even have started to arise in the second half of the previous cycle. The period after the midlife crisis is generally marked by a strong period of productivity, innovation, and imagination. New strengths seem to appear, which manifest themselves into new opportunities for us. It often happens that careers are redesigned or even change completely. As we come into touch with that, what we really do, with what we really want to do in life, we can develop patience and warmth. We may make new friendships and feel a complete new confidence in life. The chaos of the previous cycle slowly start to clear, and order begins to reign in our personal life. We start to regain different forms of balance within our life. The temptation during this phase is power, and it takes great strength to resist it and exercise our higher nature instead. Much depends on our maturation development from previous cycles as to how this plays out in our lives. From this cycle onwards, our health is often severely impacted in that we have ignored the many opportunities that were sent our way during the previous cycles to heal our issues. We often generate major dis-ease that exactly reflects our erroneous thinking and feeling of the previous cycles. Where sexual abuse has happened in the early cycles in women and or men for illustration purposes, it often reflects as a problem with the sexual organs and may result in cancer of one or more sexual organs and result in such things as hysterectomy, cancer of the cervix, um, breast cancer, all of those. The next cycle, 49 to 56 years. This is the 9th cycle. During this cycle, we are much more flexible and we use a lot more humor to face the problems of life. We must make adjustments to life, but there can be a new vitality to do so if we have successfully worked on ourselves as highlighted in the previous cycles. There is much remembering of the past as we struggle to gain perspective and to translate our experiences into wisdom and the likes. As we utilize the wisdom and light brought about by our correct utilization of our experiences, this often results in taking up new possibilities, a new direction, or yet again a change in career. But what is done with greater equanimity. Should we have not worked on ourselves or resolved many of the emotional and perception issues that arose from the previous cycles, and in particular the first 3 cycles, we are often subjected to the influence of major disease. The diseases is nature's way and the soul's way of prodding us into the maturation process. It's kind of like the soul has said, I've given you so many opportunities to heal, so many opportunities to address the issues of the past. Now we resort to the big guns, and the big guns come in the form of dis-ease. And that dis-ease pushes you into that area where it is now you are forced to address those issues so that you can heal yourself. So the next cycle, cycle 56 to 63, this is the 10th cycle. We may now experience yet another burst of energy or even inspiration. Should we have matured enough during the previous cycles, we find that many earlier conflicts are resolved. We are now no longer interested in power or material success. We can now enjoy the respect and confidence we have gained from life. We are now living from within, out of the richness of the depth of experience and emotional maturity. It often happens that life somehow simplified itself. We develop enthusiasm through our efforts. We work through our thoughts and emotions more carefully. We ponder, we consider, we develop our wisdom. We now have reached the age that we realize that we need to go inward for our insight rather than go outward for stimulation. This brings about a new sense of our inner strength, which is now activated. New life forces are generated. New possibilities of devotion and companionship often present themselves. Age 63 and onwards, the 11th cycle. From the age 63 onwards, we reap the benefits of working on ourselves from the previous cycles, especially the last 3. The process of development, which began at the age 35, continues and matures within us, we are now able to go into our golden years, becoming the elders of who we were destined to be. It is time for us to be the elders and to guide the youth into the way of how life should be, not what they think it should be. This is our job. This is what we have worked so hard to achieve. It's now time to pass that on before we pass over. I wish to thank you for taking your time with me through this video. Have a good day. Bye-bye.